to a Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com talking about the state of college football, what's going on campus, when we can expect athletes back on campus at the University of Florida. Second half of the show, we're going to have former Gator defensive back Major Wright talking about his release of his new book that he has written called Major Pain. Also, for all our listeners out there, if you tag a friend to follow our show on Facebook Live, we're going to have a drawing around, I'd say 8:45 or what have you, to win a free autographed copy of Major Wright's new book called Major Pain. So make sure that you tag someone today to follow our program, and you may be the lucky winner of Major Pain, written by Major Wright. Some news and notes around the world of sports. Things are getting somewhat back to normal, we think. We did hear the governor yesterday here in the state of Florida open an invitation to a lot of the professional teams out there that may not be allowed to practice or play in their state. And he has spoken with, supposedly has spoken with the University of Florida about possibly playing some professional games in the swamp. You know, maybe some Major League Baseball games in our brand new ballpark. And who knows, some NBA games in the O'Connell Center. Wouldn't that be something? See the Golden State Warriors play the Houston Rockets here in Gainesville. So we'll wait and see what happens. And we'll talk to Scott Carter a little bit more about that. We're going to try to get him on the phone line here momentarily. But other than that, you can text the show on the Titan MR text line. It's 352-353-7465. That's 352-353-7465. If you want to send us a comment or question on Facebook Live, which is brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys, you can do that as well. Yesterday's program, we had Jackie Spreads, which is brought to you by Peachland Dentistry, did a tremendous job with Anthony Grant, head basketball coach at Dayton University, who was your coach of the year. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead and give you a rundown on next week's lineup on our program. We have Brandon James and Steve Russell, Lee McGriff with Buddy Martin, Kevin Butler, former teammate of mine with the Chicago Bears, longtime Georgia Bulldog, one of the only kickers, if not the only kicker, that's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He'll be joined by Mark Schlabach from ESPN.com. We'll get his thoughts on what he's hearing around the college football landscape. We'll also have Dara Torres, former Olympic swimmer here at the University of Florida. Man, she's been in so many dang Olympics. She's going to join us along with Blake Alderman, talk Gator recruiting. And then we're going to have Jamie Spironis, who is Director of Football Ops for Coach Spurrier for all his years of coaching. See what he's doing these days. Obviously, he will have some tremendous stories to share with y'all with his relationship with the head ball coach for many, many years. In the meantime, while we're waiting to get Scott Carter on the line, like I said, you can send us a text on the Titan MR text line, 352-353-7465. Please tag someone to follow, tag a friend, follow us on Facebook Live so we can get you a possible, if you're the lucky winner, copy of Major Pain, written by Major Wright. I'm anxious to get him on the show, get his thoughts of why he decided to write this book. He did all the writing himself, been told. There was no other author. Nobody was helping him. He did it all by himself. And we'll talk to him about 8:20, 8:25. Waiting to get Scott Carter on the line here. Trying to think of what else. Major, don't forget that PGA Tour will be starting up here next month in Texas. And anxious to get any kind of sports. I know we're going to have the Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning deal going on in a couple of weeks. So I just got a text from Scott Carter. He's having some issues phone connecting. So we'll get him on here in just a second. I did see there's going to be some kind of skins game or something that's going to be televised this weekend with maybe Dustin Johnson and some couple other PGA Tour players for. Uh, I think they're raising money for uh, something. I'm not sure. I just saw it on the TV flash up, but looks like we're about to have Scott Carter join the program. Um, I was reading one of his articles, and we'll talk to him about this. Scott, are you there? Oh, not yet. Okay. I think one of the articles he was written, I want to say this past weekend was supposed to be the final regular season series at McKeithen Stadium against Vanderbilt. And I think he wrote a piece on that, and we'll get his thoughts on. I mean, it's a shame being the last year of McKeithen Stadium. They're not able to play. Pretty soon, they're going to come in there with the bulldozers and tear the turf down. So we're going to go right now to the Titan MR hotline, where we're joined by senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. Scott, good morning. How are you, bud?
Shane, sorry about that, man. Having a little trouble technology-wise this morning.
Hey, it's all good. Trust me, I'm the worst when it comes to technology. Well, Scott, I know there's not a whole lot to write about these days. But first of all, let's talk about what kind of happened yesterday here in the state of Florida, coming from the governor talking about, that he had talked with, whether it was Scott Strickland or whoever at the University of Florida about the possibility of professional sports possibly be playing in the Swamp, the new Florida ballpark, and maybe even the O'Connell Center. Could it actually happen?
Well, that was interesting news, I think, for everybody. And obviously, Scott Strickland addressed it later in the day once DeSantis talked about it and said that they did talk on Wednesday. And just basically, I think, letting him know that, hey, we have these top-class facilities here at UF. So if this does come to fruition down the road where maybe some teams in other areas where they can't play games yet, and Florida is back to normal schedule, so to speak, whatever that's going to look like. Hey, just think of us. So I think right now, Shane, it's very preliminary stages, but it certainly raised up an interesting possibility, one that, got me to thinking yesterday, like, what other non-Gators games have ever been in the Swamp? And I can only find one. You might remember this, the Tennessee Virginia Tech, what was it, Gator Bowl in 1994.
Yeah, I guess what they were redoing the actual Gator Bowl over there for the Jaguars, I believe, and that's why they had to play it in the Swamp. I do remember that. Scott, I was reading briefly one of your stories, and obviously I don't have all my dates correct, but you were kind of comparing what's going on right now with the coronavirus to back when they had the Spanish flu. Talk a little bit about that article that you wrote on FloridaGators.com.
Yeah, Shane. I mean, while a lot of us, we never imagined something like this really, 3 months ago? And it's just altered everybody's lives. And, it sent a lot of people, I think, into the history books. And so, this Spanish influenza pandemic that struck in 1918, very similar to what we're seeing today, although obviously with World War I going on at that time, the country and the globe or the world was already kind of in disarray, and this just added to it back then. And, it really disrupted the college football season. A lot of the same questions that we're seeing, athletic directors, politicians, health officials debate right now. If you go back into the history of this country, you'll see a lot of those same kind of questions brought up in 1918 about whether or not, college football should be played that year, because not only were a lot of the students who would have been on those teams already involved in the war efforts in the World War One, this Spanish influenza back then just really devastated the country. I think 650,000 people died, and Florida played one game that year against Camp Johnson. The details are kind of lost to history, but some schools played as many as 3, 4, 5 games. Some schools didn't play at all. So it was really, it raises up that topic that we're hearing now today. Like, we see, some schools playing college football in 2020 while other schools don't. And I'm not ruled out of that possibility yet, because history has taught us that it has happened before.
We're speaking with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. And don't forget, in the second half of the program today, we're going to have Major Wright talking about his book, Major Pain. And, if you tag a friend to follow our show, we're going to have a drawing, and that winner will get a book autographed personally by Major Wright. Make sure you do that. Scott, so talking about college football, your thoughts right now, it's all speculation, but do you think there's any chance we get started on time, or is it going to be in October or possibly in the Scott Carter thing?
Well, I guess I can think like everybody else, right? We all have an opinion. I don't know, Shane. If I was just sitting here looking at it right now, I still have kind of a hard time thinking that we're going to play the first game on September the 5th. I would love if that's the case. I hope it is. I don't think we're really at the critical stage. And I think as long as some kind of plan is kind of put in place by early July, I think, these schools and the teams and everything can get going to have that first game around the time that, college football season starts. But, the biggest question is, and you're seeing more and more of this, a lot of school presidents are saying, hey, if our students can't be on campus, our regular students, by the time college football season starts or in the fall semester, we're not going to play. So there's just so much remaining uncertain about this, and there's it's already very political, and you got health concerns, and there's just so much at stake, economic concerns. So I'm glad we're not at the critical stage of a deadline yet, but we're obviously getting closer and closer. In the next month, I think really some of these answers hopefully start surfacing, because it feels like we're kind of stuck in Groundhog Day right now. Every day there's a new wave of stories or opinions, but there's really no closure or finality on any kind of plan. And eventually, to get to play that game, in September the 5th, you have to start having some concrete dates. I know at Florida, Scott Strickland sends out emails about 3 times a week to in staff, just to give updates on what's going on at UF and how they're still planning normally. That it's they're still planning the season as if everything's going on pace to have a season. So that's what you have to do right now when you're facing this situation.
Yes. Speaking of that, if somehow we do play a regular season, and I think a lot of schools in the South probably are hoping, and they're the only ones that probably can do that. From a fan standpoint, do you think they're going to allow every season ticket holder to attend, or maybe send out an email saying, hey, if you don't want to come, we're only going to be able to allow 20 to 30,000 people in the stadium? Has there been any talks about that, or if we play, is it going to be a packed stadium?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything internally, Shane, along those lines yet. I think it's one of those that's still down the road. This is just a guy who reads the news and kind of gets a sense of this stuff. To me, it's hard to imagine 90,000 people in a stadium in less than 4 months. I just don't know if we're going to see that kind of atmosphere in 2020, but stranger things have happened. But right now it seems like we're a long way from that point on what, May 15th or 14th today, whatever it is. That would be the ideal scenario where things got clarity and got to that point, but it just doesn't feel like that we're close to that right now.
Scott, have you been in contact with any of the players? Obviously, I got a player that lives in my house, and he does his workouts and his Zoom meetings and all that stuff. But, have you talked to any of the starters? How are they? Mentally, it's got to be killing these kids.
Well, yeah, just to have talked to a couple of the assistants who obviously, they've maintained closer communication than I have with the players. But yeah, it's hard for everybody, Shane. You're a competitor. You know what it's like. You know how to get prepared for a season is difficult enough when you have your teammates right there to inspire you and to motivate you side by side in the off season. Because the off season, when it all really happens, that's when the team that shows up for camp, that's where the foundation's laid. So right now, it's been hard for all these guys. Because they're working in different surroundings. Some have better resources than others to maintain their conditioning. And while they do have a good plan, I think from the staff, and they have the technology now to all be doing the same workouts and the same, I guess, overall plan that the strength staff wants to get them going on. It's just different when you're trying to do it by yourself. And I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. The motivation that comes from coaches and players all pulling the same rope, as they say, right?
Yeah, I mean, mentally, it's tough on these kids. Scott, I think this past weekend, I may have my dates wrong, but it's supposed to be the last weekend regular season series, I believe, against Vanderbilt at McKeithen Stadium. Talk a little bit about, speaking with, Coach O'Sullivan, a couple other people. I mean, it's got to be rough on these former players, these coaches, so many memories in this stadium, and you're not even able to play the final year of it. And when are they actually going to start tearing this thing down?
Yeah, that was, this past Saturday, Shane, was supposed to be the last regular season game in the stadium's history. And, it would have been a celebratory event, and it would have been a great series just for baseball. I mean, Vanderbilt and Florida were both top 10 teams when the season got canceled. The SEC East would have been on the line likely. So it was just one of those missed opportunities that you don't get back. And, talking to Kevin O'Sullivan on Saturday, and I reached out to him and just other people who would have definitely been there. Sully, he's the kind of guy that he doesn't harp too much on the past, but he was kind of made me laugh when he said, "So what are you doing right now?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to figure out how to cook bratwursts, man. He's got to cook dinner for kids." So he was dealing with the real practical matter of the afternoon instead of being at the ballpark. But they all kind of said the same thing. I mean, a lot of great memories there. They wish it obviously had ended differently. But they know there's never going to be another game there. And I think, Shane, by the end of the month, the McKeithen Stadium is supposed to be cleared out as far as, all the stuff inside the offices and all that kind of stuff. And I think sometime in June they should start tearing that down, or at least sometime over the summer. And then, of course, the new facility is still on schedule to start, and sometime later this summer. And I think the completion date projected is December 2021. But Scott Strickland's addressed this several times recently, because people do have that question, like, with all that's going on with the coronavirus, I mean, are the facility plans, have they been impacted? And fortunately, as of now, to my knowledge, nothing has been impacted. Everything's kind of proceeding as normal there. And, that's some good news, I think, on that front.
Yeah, from a recruiting standpoint, we need that facility, no doubt about it. Well, Scott, you're up on that third floor over there in the stadium, and I know you got an office right down the hallway from the HBC. You got to have a couple of good Spurrier stories for our listeners.
Oh gosh, man! I miss him, Shane, because I see him all the time lately. With him there, and not seeing him around, you miss those quotes. But yeah, I think, and you will attest to this, the thing that amazes me the most of being around him is his memory. And I mean, it's just like sometimes he'll say something. He told me a story one time about playing golf at Saddlebrook with Donald Trump when they were both in the USFL. And so I'm like, man, is his memory that good? Because that's 35 years ago. So I go and check out some old news reports, and sure enough, there's a story there. He is backed up. And then he goes back to even when he played like in the NFL. He was telling me about Tom Dempsey, the kicker who recently passed away, who had half the foot. And they were playing the 49ers and the Rams way back in the day. And Spurrier says that he was telling me the reason for the story was, he said that the coach had not been playing him. So he finally said, "Hey, you need to play me because we stink." And so he goes in and he leads them to a win. But he said during that game that one of their players tried to block the field goal by Dempsey, and Dempsey kicked him in the head, knocked him out. They thought the guy was dead. So again, 40 years later, I go back and look in the library, and there it is. So I think that just blows me away.
Yeah, his memory. He called me the other day, and he's like, "Shane, my man, didn't you play in the Gator Mountain Classic back in like 1995?" This is a golf tournament up in Wade Hampton, up in the mountains. And we flew on a plane here with some booster. This was like my second or third year in the league. And I said, yeah, coach, I played in Wade Hampton, the Gator Mountain Classic one year. He goes, yep, I think that year I won it. I think I shot 76. What did you shoot? I'm like, this is like 30 years ago. I don't remember what I shot. I mean, his memory is unbelievable.
Yeah, I have trouble remembering like something from 3 days ago, but yeah, just, just having that guy around and being back at Florida, that's been one of the best really deals that, in my daily experience, just having them around and getting those stories. And obviously you saw the reaction when he came back to the fan base. So it was a win-win situation, I think, for Gators everywhere.
Yeah, last thing before we let you go, Scott, and we're going to get to Major Wright here in just a second. There's a lot of love for Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts out there, if we have a season, and the sad thing is when you look at Florida's schedule this year with all the guys they have coming back, I really felt like they have a chance to be in that 14 playoff. Talk a little bit briefly about, kind of the national love we're getting now with Dan Mullen here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time really this kind of preseason hype. I think you'd have to go back to 2010, Urban's last year, and it didn't work out well that year. But I think you have to go back to that season to look at a Florida team that has maybe as much buzz around it going into a season than this 2020 team. And I mean, that's just a credit to Mullen, what he's able to do to change the landscape so quickly. 21-5 in his 2 years, and it's good to finally be talking, Shane, about the guy who played your position as being a guy in the Heisman conversation, the national conversation. Again, we haven't had that in so long. And at Kyle Trask, what he was able to do last season, to me, it was one of the better stories in college football. Certainly one of the best UF football stories in quite a while. And Kyle Pitts is an amazing tool for him to have. I think offensively, even though they're losing those receivers and Pirine, I think that some of the pieces are there where they can still have a really good offense. You're looking at a defense that has some young players who are going to have to step up on the defensive line. But I like the talent in the secondary, and I like the coaching, what these guys have been able to do. One thing I've learned is they can definitely develop some talent once they get it. And that's why I think 2020, if it happens, I hope it happens. I think it can be a good one for the Gators where they can stay in this conversation all season.
Scott, we appreciate you joining us. Let everybody know where they can follow your work and follow you on Twitter.
Just simple, at Gator Scott on Twitter and FloridaGators.com. That's where myself and Chris Harry, my buddy, does our work.
Yeah. Well, Scott, appreciate it, buddy. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Shane. You too, buddy.
All right, that's Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com joining us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the program here. When we come back, we'll be joined by Major Wright, talking about his new book, Major Pain. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back. It's a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate. With premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike Medici's Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Bozer's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate. Our next guest on the Titan Emerald Hotline has done a lot of celebrating in his career. We're going to welcome now to the show, Major Wright. Good morning, Major. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, Shane. How are you?
We're doing great, man. I tell you what, I've heard your interviews on a couple other shows, and it's been outstanding to learn about why you wrote this book. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. First of all, we're going to have people that tag a friend and follow our show on Facebook Live. You're going to give away an autographed copy of your book, Major Pain, to them. First question to you is, why in the world did you decide to write a book?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank y'all for having me on, Shane. You know, this is dope, and I appreciate it. The reason why I write a book was, honestly, I was on the phone with my ex-girlfriend one night, and she has her own consulting company, and we were just uplifting each other and just talking about stuff that we want to accomplish. And out the blue, she just like asked me, Major. She said, Major, I think you should write a book. And I paused for a second, and at the time I was reading the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. And in this book, he says along the lines of, if you want to do something, act on it now, because if you don't, it'll never happen. So it kind of like clicked to me right then. And I answered back, I'm like, Isha, you know what? I think I should write a book. I may not know what this book may be about, but I think I should write a book. So we got off the phone. I went upstairs. I grabbed a notepad and a pen. And then I just started writing out 5 chapter names that I wanted my chapters to be. The next day I woke up. I went and worked out. I came back home. And I actually started writing. The first day I wrote like 4 pages. The second day it was more. Then just by a week, it was just like, it was 20-some pages and it was going really well. So I just like, man, I like this. So I just kept going with it. And then I had like days, I had times where I was getting discouraged. I had writer's block. Isn't that what they say is writer's block?
I wouldn't know. I've never read it.
So they say like it's a writer's block, and it's just certain days I just wasn't motivated to write. And I kept saying, yeah, man, I'm writing. Yeah, I'm doing this. But like I wasn't doing as much as I was saying. And at one point I had read The Secret, and then The Secret like lit a fire up under me. I got back to him, and I finished the book like in a week after that, after I read The Secret.
So tell us briefly what this book is all about. Is it about your career, things you went through as a player?
It's about the obstacles I face throughout my whole life, all the way up until, even after I retired, when I did face my biggest obstacle. And that was the transition from football to, finding what else that I was good at next. And honestly, that was the biggest thing and the toughest things I've ever faced in my whole entire life. And they used to preach about it a lot, saying, how tough it is, how the transition is. But, with me being me, I'm saying like, man, that it'll never happen to me, because first and foremost, I'm gonna go out here, make enough plays to set myself up for life, which didn't happen, and I'll be good because, I'll be quick to pick something else up, which that didn't happen, And I fell into a deep depression, and I fell into a real bad space in my life. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy, It was to a point where it's just like, each and every day I ask myself, who am I? What does Major bring to this earth, like other than sports, what can be this next best thing that I'm great at, other than football, because football is expired, And that space, man, I honestly don't see many people making it out of that space, man. If you're not tough, you're not mentally tough, you know. And that's why I do see like people having breakdowns, people going crazy, because it's a tough space, man, to find that next best thing.
So, Major, when you're writing your book, we're speaking with Major Wright, former Gator great defensive back number 21, about his book, Major Pain. Writing this book, and as you said, you wrote it yourself. Nobody else helped you. Was that difficult, having never written a book? And then did you have any, like, because, you know, some people can remember, you know, the stuff that happens on a team, you know, your teammates, you got all these great stories. Sometimes you can remember them, sometimes you can't. Did you have any former players help you remember any stories and help you in your book?
Honestly, like this, writing this first book, it honestly wasn't as hard as I thought it was. I was blocking myself first, just mentally saying, okay, yeah. I don't think I could write a book at first, you know. But then just after having a conversation with her and just, you know, getting that motivation and pushing myself and reading the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth made me take that leap of faith. I didn't know all the stories at first. I did have to call. Big shouts out to Ahmad Black. Man, he is literally like a he replays everything word for word. He's like a I don't even know what to describe, because he remembered everything. So that's one person. If you need to ask anything, if you forgot something, oh yeah, bro, it went like this. This person said this. This how it happened. This how it jumped off. Like, big shouts out to Ahmad, man, for some of the stuff he told me that I just didn't remember. But yeah, it wasn't as hard. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was, you know, writing the book. But you know, all the other stuff, like the loops and stuff, I had to figure out. Man, that was tough. I had big help by one of my homegirls, Kat. She had helped someone write a book as well, and it was a smooth transition. Ever since I met Kat, she helped piece everything together. And not just, you know, start my book, I started my own publishing company as well, you know. So with me writing my own book and me starting my own publishing company, it was amazing. It was something great that I witnessed, and I loved it.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line, and that number is 352-353-7465. It comes from Jonathan. He wants to know, Major, where can we buy your book?
How you doing, Jonathan? You guys can buy my book at www.majorwright.com. Pre-sales end today at then we're gonna end it. We'll probably end it today at like 5 p.m., something like that. But when it comes out July 1st, and it'll be available on my website. It'll be available on Amazon. And I'm actually now I'm getting ready to start working on my audiobook. So yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. All right, Major, let's talk a little bit. We'll come back to the book. Let's talk a bit about your career. You come out of down in the Fort Lauderdale area, St. Thomas Aquinas, great program. You come to the University of Florida. Did you always want to be a Gator? Who was responsible for recruiting you to come wear the orange and blue? Or what other schools were you looking at?
I didn't grow up a Gator. No, I didn't really know much about the Gators at first. Like, I honestly, like, growing up, I wasn't like, I didn't watch a lot of football. I just played it. I didn't watch a lot of football. So to say that, to grow up like a Gator fan or a Miami Hurricane fan, nah, I didn't. But honestly, that growing up and just because I always was the kid that played outside. My mom and them always had trouble with me having me stay inside because I always wanted to go play outside. So I didn't grow up a Gator fan, and honestly, I almost went to Ohio State. So Ohio State and Florida was my biggest two schools. And what who helped me with that was my family. My mom, she helped me make that decision because first off, Gainesville is only 4 hours away from Fort Lauderdale. So that's an easy drive for my mom, instead of her getting on a plane and spending X amount of dollars, my mama wasn't making much money. So, she could drive up there and spend less money. Me being from Florida, I know the heat. So the heat is really good for me because I've been playing in it all my life, but Ohio State, that's a whole different world playing in that cold. And Doc Holliday, man, big shouts out to Doc Holliday, man. He was really good at recruiting me. He did a great job with, making my family feel comfortable with going to University of Florida. Big shouts out to Doc, man. And you know what? I'm really happy that I did make that decision. That was probably the best decision of my life, going to University of Florida, because meeting the guys that I met, actually winning the national championship, and just being at University of Florida, don't nothing get better than being there.
Yep. We got another text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Sheila. She wants to know, tell us about your Good Deed Tuesday.
How you doing, Sheila? Yes, my Good Deed Tuesday, where I go out once a month in the community and I just do a random acts of kindness. I done did everything from fed the homeless, went into hospitals. We done went to parks, helped football teams. We done did some of everything, and it's just random. I go out and I have a group of people with us. We have fun, we enjoy it, and we put smiles on people's face. At the end of the day, that's what it's about, bringing joy to other people, to make them feel comfortable. And even if it's just right then, just feeling happy in that moment, it means the world.
Speaking of your career here at Florida, you were an outstanding player, a lot of awards, win the national title in 2008. What was it like playing for Urban Meyer?
It was, honestly, he's a great coach. He's a great coach. He knows his football. Football is his world, I had my bumps and bruises with him, but he's a great coach. I can't say anything about his coaching. His coaching is great. Like his resume speaks for itself. I feel like he would definitely go down for he'd definitely be a Hall of Famer for sure. Every school he went to, look what he did to it. He turned the program around. And as a coach, that's what you ask for, and he's been doing it. So I feel like he's definitely on the right track for, being a Hall of Famer.
We're speaking with Major Wright here, talking about his book, Major Pain. I got a text here. This is from Daryl. He wants to know, Major, who was the toughest player that you ever had to go against, and what was your favorite game to play in as a Gator?
So the toughest player that I had went against my freshman year, Jacob Hester. LSU game. We playing at LSU, and this was the loudest game I've ever played in, other than the national championship. But this game here, I don't know why, but this game was so loud, and it was so loud to the point where me and Joe, we're sitting on the sideline. And I'm sitting next to him, and offense out, and something happened, and the crowd goes nuts. And I'm trying to call Joe. I'm like, Joe. He just looking and acting like, well, not acting like, he can't hear me. He can't hear me at all. And just looking away, I'm just like, Joe. I'm yelling, Joe. It was so funny, man. But that game there, Jacob Hester, I think he runs a draw or something, and the hole just open. I come back down, and I didn't bring everything I had. And Jacob Hester ended up trucking me. Boom, boom. I'm trying to grab on, trying to hold on. It didn't look as bad because as soon as that happened, Tony Joyner came and tackled him. So It didn't look as bad, but it felt really, really bad to me, and I got trucked, and that was my first time actually ever getting trucked. And after that, my mentality like switched. It was like, Major, this could never happen again. And I would never let this happen again because I felt so embarrassed. And I know I should have came down here and I should have brought everything I had, and I didn't.
We talking about the national title game and against Oklahoma, which was a phenomenal game. It was supposed to be a shootout, but two defenses played extremely well. Jeff has a Facebook Live comment question brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys. And he says, your hit that you put on the Oklahoma receiver in that national title game, was it your best hit ever? And would you have been kicked out of today's college football games with that hit?
How you doing, Jeff? Thanks for the question. Honestly, that wasn't my biggest hit. And it's so sad, it's so crazy because in high school, I used to hit kids so hard. It was unfair. I go back and I watch it now, and it was just like, if that was my child, I would want to fight this kid. I used to hit kids so hard. I remember one play, it was on punt return, and we got our returner there. His name Phillip. Every time we did punt return, I always tell the returner to come to my side, no matter what. Y'all make sure y'all come to my side. And I call him to my side. He catch the ball, and it was this one kid, and he's chasing him. He's chasing him, and he's reaching. And as soon as he reached, I just dove right into his chest. His feet hit my helmet. He hit a whole backflip. The coach took his headphones off and tried to chase me and run on the field to try to come fight me because I hit his athlete that hard. And everybody had to hold him back, that. But in today's game, not only would I be kicked out, they would lock me up and charge me for murder because it would be unfair to be hitting like that now these days. With all the rules and stuff that they have in place, it wouldn't be fair. And I honestly, it's for the safety and it's great that they do have these rules in, honestly.
Yeah. Talk about your pro career a little bit. You get drafted by the Bears. I played 7 years in Chicago, and you talked about you like warm weather. Talk about how you handled that cold weather, because it is cold there. And I'm sure you talk about it in your book, but professional football, the NFL, it's a crazy business. You can have so many highs and then you get cut and you got these lows, and they're always looking for the faster, younger DB or wide receiver. Just talk a little bit about your career in Chicago, and I'm sure you talked about that in your book.
Yeah. Without going too deep, it was my first. I've been in Florida my whole entire life, all the way up until Chicago. They give me that call and they tell me, listen, you're gonna be a Bear. And when I first get my first brutal game, right now, I can't even talk about that because that's in the book. But it was so cold. It was so cold. Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna make it through my first game. How cold it was. I honestly I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. This not right. And honestly, it's not fair. It's not fair to be like that. I remember one game it was like the wind chill got to like -12, and we playing Dallas Cowboys. It was so cold. It was so cold to the point where nobody wanted to tackle. I would see the running back or whoever running the ball, man, and I try to jump on his back, like, not go up and tackle him. I'm trying to jump on his back, man, to try to go for this ride, man, because I don't want to hit, man, because out here, man, you can't feel anything. Everything's numb, man, and it's brutal out there, man. Honestly, it's unfair to be playing in Chicago. I used to ask myself, I'm like, why wouldn't they have a dome here? This is what I did. This is what
I
I
hear
did
you.
to myself. Why wouldn't they have a dome here? It makes no sense. It's so cold, this and that. But honestly, we use that to our advantage, because we know a lot of teams can't come here and play in this cold. So we use that to our advantage. And that's why we was called Monster of the Midways, on defense. We used to have that and on defense, you can't wear any sleeves. Nothing.
Yeah. We got another text here on the Titan MR text line, which is 352-353-7465. We got a few more minutes with Major Wright. Jack wants to know who's your closest teammate that you had at the University of Florida?
University of Florida, my closest teammate was Joe Hayden, and still is my one of my best friends to today. He actually helped me so much, man. Well, let me go back to college. College, we were so close. Like whenever you seen Joe, you seen me, But now, man, like he's helped me through like so much. Like, when I was in depression, man, he helped me. He actually told me to come up there, man, stay with him for a few months before he go to training camp. And that was one of the biggest things for me. And I needed that at that time because the space I was in, he was just like, man, come stay with me, bro. We can work out, get you back on a nice regimen, man. So you could start, being a little happier, man, or whatever. But, I big shouts out to Joe, man. I love him. That's like a brother, man, that I've met, and we've been rocking ever since.
That's awesome. Well, our winner of the Major Pain, written by Major Wright, is Rick Mack. So we're going to get him an autographed copy. He won the drawing. And before we let you go, so I know you're busy with your book sales and things like that, but what is Major Wright doing now that football is over?
Now I'm building my brand. I'm revamping Major Wright. A lot of people just know me for football, but no, now, football is done. So now it's on to the next chapter. Next chapter, this book, we're going to push this book, Major Pain. I'm going to have one of the biggest foundations on the earth, Major Right. I mean, the right way, where we help single parent moms, we help clothe them, feed them, put roofs over their heads. And I have my other foundation, Good Deed Tuesday, where we go out, once a month in the community and do a random acts of kindness. And even now I want to start doing motivation speaking. I want to speak about my book. I want to stop people from, going through this, deep depression and making it a smoother transition after whatever it is that they're doing, whatever career. And I want to be able to go around, motivate them, and get them to understand that whatever it is that you want to do in life, or whatever it is that you want to be in life, you can accomplish it, because honestly, I never thought that I would write a book in a million years. I was the least person probably would write a book, because first off, my reading wasn't well. My writing wasn't good, So now every morning I wake up and I try to read more now. I read more now to write my own book, So anything that you want to do, I want to be able to go around and preach that, uplift people and put that, instill that in them, because, sometimes we lose sight of that. And I want to be able to bring it out of people.
Well, that's awesome, Major, because I can tell you it's a lot of people don't realize when you've been playing a sport or doing something your entire life and then it's gone, it's a tough transition because you've always been part of a team, and some people can handle it, some people can't. So I salute you and what you're doing. Let everybody know where they can follow Major Wright on social media.
All my social media platforms on Instagram is LilMade21. On Twitter is LittleMade21. On Facebook is Major Wright. And I'm actually about to get ready to start working on my YouTube, and that's Major Wright. And we're gonna have some great stuff, some great behind the scenes stuff on making the book, the photo shoots, the actually writing. Then I'm gonna have, and after we're gonna try to get this book turned into a movie. So I got clips and stuff that we'll be piecing together, and I'm just out here working. And honestly, my book isn't just for athletes; it's for everybody. It's in anybody that's going through a tough time, a rough patch in their life. My book is for them.
One last thing before we let you go, we just got a last text here on the Titan Mark text line from Laura. She wants to know, Major, do you get back for any of the Gator games?
Of course, man. I've been back since I've been out of the NFL. I've been back frequently. Last year I went to 3 games. this year, hopefully, God willing, I go back for as many games as they want me to come back. I definitely love the Swamp, and there's nothing better than the Swamp. So if I don't have a choice but to keep coming back.
Yep. Last question for you. What do you think the job that Dan Mullen's done in his 2 years here, getting us back on the winning tradition?
I love it. I love it. The energy that he brings around the Gator Nation is crazy. He's a player's coach, and as an athlete, that's what you want. You want a player's coach. You want to have whatever you want to have. You want to make sure that the player is willing to do whatever it takes for that coach. And I think Dan Mullen is shaping everybody. He's getting everybody to buy into the program. He's got the fans buying in, and I love it, man. Honestly, just coming back, feel more welcoming now. And it make you feel like you back at home. Like, some coaches that I did go back, it didn't feel like I was at home, man. We couldn't go in the locker rooms. We couldn't do this. We couldn't do that, But now, man, Dan Mullen has it open to the point where it's just like, man, I feel right. Like I'm back in school, man. I feel great, man. It feel good. And the energy, I love it, man. Dan Mullen, continue to do an amazing job. If there anything I can tell you to change, is nothing. Just keep doing you. I believe in him, and that's it.
Well, Major, you keep doing amazing things, my man. Congratulations on your book. We appreciate you joining the show, and we will talk to you soon, bud.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. That's Major Wright talking about his book, Major Pain. We're going to take our last time out of the program. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey, time out!
Thank you, bro.
Time out!
Thank you, my man.
There we go.
We'll be in touch.
Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Come in and experience the Center State difference. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC. Also want to get to our This Day in Sports, which is brought to you by The Best Restoration. Do you have COVID-19 concerns? Do what everyone is doing and hire The Best Restoration to fully sanitize and sterilize your home or office. Visit their office this week for a free bottle of hand sanitizer when you mention the code Shane, 352-234-8994. This Day in Sports in 2016 at the PGA Players Championship over in Sawgrass. World #1 player Jason Day of Australia leads wire to wire to win by 4 strokes ahead of Kevin Chappell. That's our play today, which is brought to you by Best Restoration. Couple of things here. We got a couple of Facebook Live comments brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred business interruption attorneys. And yes, Mary, Major, keep up the good work. I agree 100%. Jeff here, he wanted to know, when was that cover photo taken? Wish I would have seen that. But yeah, Major looks like he's in tremendous shape. Don't forget our winner, Rick Mack. Please message the show and let our great staff know what you would like on your personal message from Major Wright winning his book, Major Pain. But again, we want to thank Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com, talking a little Gator football, what's going on in the world, are we going to play this, that, and the other. And of course, Major Wright, talking about his book, Major Pain, which I'm anxious to get my hands on. What's amazing is he wrote the book himself. I don't know if I could sit down and write a book, but we wish him a lot of luck and what he's doing out there in the world. So that's going to be a wrap on today's show. We got a great lineup next week on the program. So anyway, be safe out there, folks. We'll see you on Monday. You've been watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Have a great day.